Hello, and welcome to the Standstill Podcast. This is an opportunity to hit pause on your busy life as we hear from guests that will inspire you.
Hey Joe.
Hey Josh, how you going?
Doing well. We're at episode 8 now.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty cool. We got Craig Stone doing this episode on getting to know Jesus and putting, I guess, into action or being more conscious of Christ in every day and in our small little actions that we might do. And yeah, it should be a good conversation that we have with him.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of sort of take-home points and things to think about. So we hope you enjoy.
Yeah, he's actually mentioned as well when trying to get this chat lined up, something about a 10-second rule. So it'll be interesting to hear what he thinks about that.
Yeah, and apparently there's a book on it as well, if you're interested in checking that out.
So we'll just jump on straight into our chat with Uncle Craig.
Great.
Thanks, Uncle Craig, for coming out for our 8th episode. So, as we always say, I feel like I say every episode, we're ticking along nicely.
Nice, yeah. Oh, 8, that's good.
Yeah.
Lucky Chinese number.
Yeah. So what we do, and I don't know if you've listened to our episodes beforehand, but what we do at the start of every podcast, we start off with 23 random questions.
Fantastic.
And they're rapid fire questions, so you've got quick responses,
right.
But it's 23 because of AYC2023.
That makes sense. All right.
So, you ready for 23 rapid fire questions?
Ready to go.
Pew, 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 pew.
Rapid fire questions heading your way. 23 questions coming today.
Question 1. Do you have a middle name?
Andrew.
Beach or pool?
Beach.
What is your favourite sport?
Surfing.
What was your first job?
Data entry. Probably.
Can you speak another language?
Japanese.
Can you really?
No. I can go 1 to 10.
That's good enough.
Yeah, I'll do that later.
If you would describe yourself as an animal, what would it be?
Sloth.
This might answer the next question then. Do you hit the snooze button or do you get up immediately?
Immediately.
Favourite meal?
Curry?
Do you untie your shoelaces when you take your shoes off?
Definitely.
Or not?
Definitely.
Favourite ice cream?
Hokey pokey?
Is there a book you are currently reading?
Yes. It's called the 10-second rule. We might chat about that.
Chat about that later.
Yep.
What is your go-to meal when you are cooking?
I don't cook, so I'm surrounded by some very good cooks. No, probably cheese on toast, actually.
That sounds good to me.
That's not a good meal.
If you could invent one thing, what would it be?
Time travel.
Pineapple on pizza or not?
Definitely, yes.
Worst injury?
I've had a few. Just about recovered from broken foot, so... But Achilles tendon and broken ankle, yeah.
Quite a few.
Foot related. But no, going well.
What career did you want as a kid?
Dentist.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
Do you cut your sandwiches diagonally or vertically?
Ooh, vertically.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how funny do you think you are?
12. So there you go, 3 people laughing.
Yeah. Bungee jump or skydiving?
Skydiving.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Flying, definitely.
Longest distance you have run?
22.6 kilometres.
Wow.
Last Saturday. Yep.
Oh wow.
And last one, what is your kingdom vision?
Standing at one of the doors and just welcoming people in.
Yeah, okay. I like that one actually. That's quite
just seeing everyone come through, find out about them.
Yeah, no, that's nice.
Mm.
Alrighty,
bit of a doorkeeper.
Was it better to be a doorkeeper?
Yeah, that's
than
right.
house, my God?
Yep.
So for a lot of our listeners, some people may or may not know you too much, but generally we'll get whoever we have just to give them a little introduction about themselves, where they've come from, who they are.
Oh yeah.
So, who are you?
Well, I'm Craig Stone. I was born in Sydney and then moved down here in my first year at the end of my first year of uni, after living at Gosford pretty much the whole life. Married Tamar Edgecombe, and have 3 girls, and work as an accountant, self-managed super fund accountant, out on South Terrace, and really enjoy what I do, but also do a fair bit of running and swimming at a nearby waterhole, which is quite cold at the moment.
Is that the one in the quarry nearby?
You still do it in winter?
Yeah.
Is that every single day?
No, Saturdays.
Oh, every Saturday.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's pretty cold at the moment, but
How long is it? 2-minute thing?
Wim Hof. yeah. I was in there for 26 minutes the other Saturday, so it's very cold.
Well, for our I guess our topic for tonight, when I first reached out to you, you were pretty keen on, and we've sort of talked about it quite a lot actually in previous episodes about. Well, we've talked about standing still and knowing. Trying to be more God conscious of God's presence in your daily activities and, whatever you might be during the day. And sort of that was why we started this podcast, for those people on their way to work in the mornings or whatever it might be, trying to just have a little thinky thing for the day. Have you thought about what standing still might mean to you? Or, when you hear the phrase standing still, does that mean anything to you?
The first thought that comes to mind is sort of stopping and smelling roses, actually. Just, thinking that actually you wander past lots of good stuff that God's put there and you don't actually really stop and think about it. But that's probably, standing still for me is just being present and, absorbing what's out there as opposed to just rushing through everything, which I have very fortunate to do up in my aforementioned swimming hole. There's not much else happening up there, and it's just really lovely to stop and think, maybe read a couple of psalms and sing a couple of hymns, which no one else is around.
Do you do that by yourself?
Yeah, it's good.
That's great.
Play It Is Well With My Soul, blasting out. It's just a ripper.
Right. That's
so good.
Quite
It's fantastic.
a good thing to do, and that's been your routine every Saturday.
Yeah.
That's probably where Josh and I are a little bit lacking, because on our first episode we challenged ourselves to find a standstill spot throughout doing these podcasts. And I don't know about you, Josh, but
I haven't nailed down a particular location as
or
such,
something
but,
that has been a continual.
Well,
how have you been able to actually implement something? Because it's quite hard to introduce a habit and to stick to it.
There's a guy called James Clear, and he does Atomic Habits.
Oh, yes.
So if you're trying to implement a habit, you just implement 1 minute of that habit. It sounds a bit weird. However, he says if you want to go to the gym, get out the car, go in, and then go back out and get in the car and drive home. And then next day, do the same thing, but go in and lift a couple of weights for 1 minute. And the next day, go 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And this is a bit of a personal example, but when I broke my foot, I wanted to get back into walking and running. And my surgeon and physio said, look, we obviously got some enthusiasm for that. And it was 10 weeks out from a fundraising event for Beyond Blue down at Victor Harbour, so walking from Victor to Goolworth, 30 kilometres. And both of them just said, yep, go for it. It was 10 weeks out. So it was just one of those things where you just start getting into it again. And it was fine. So it's just starting. That's it. Like, whatever habit it is, you just have to start doing it. So for me, running, it was go around 1 block. Sounds a bit weird, but it's at work. It's 2.2 k's, and it's not a massive run, and you can walk parts of it if you want. but actually just doing it. And then once I've done that once, I watched a video which was a bit of an inspirational video which just said you need to re-describe yourself. So, discussion tonight might be around, spiritual things, but one of the things that I've described myself as is a runner. So what do runners do? Well, they run.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. So I am a runner now.
Right.
And that's what I do. So some other people might be, a reader, or they might be a bike rider, or they might be whatever. But what do those people do? That's what they do. So
and that's to give you motivation.
Flip your switch, yeah. And so if I get up in the morning, what clothes do I get dressed in? Well, I've got my running shoes there, and I've got my outfit there, and the rest of my gear normally is in the car. So that's what I get dressed in. So if I drive to work, then I get to work and I go running because I'm all dressed up ready for it.
Yeah.
So, but if all your running gear's in the garage or under, the sports bag or something, and you have to find it, if it's too hard to do step one, you won't do your habit. So you've just got to work out the easiest thing to get you into the first step of your habit, and then you're on.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
That's good.
So that's my sort of mental sort of mindset thing, and once you got the mindset, the rest of it just follows on.
That might help Josh and I, but maybe for those that are listening who are trying to implement even a habit of prayer, which we talked about in our last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That could be quite a good practical way of doing something like that.
Yeah.
And another thing that you mentioned was, and we'll talk about, is getting to know, we're getting to know Jesus on a personal level. And I think the important part of having a standstill moment is building those relationships with God and obviously His Son. But why do you think that's relevant and important for all of us? Not even including, not specifically just young people, but as us as, anyone who's listening. Why do you think that might be important?
Well, probably one thing that springs to mind is that one of the favourite verses that I've got is that it's life eternal to know Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've both had John 17 written down.
It's the first one that comes to mind.
So, it's life eternal. So do you want that or not? Well, if you do, well, you've got to find out about it. And if it's life eternal, well, that's pretty important. So what is it about? So it's to know Jesus Christ. Well, how do you know someone apart from spending time communicating to and from? So listening to and talking to. And there'll be plenty of discussion around should we be talking to Jesus. The day that He arrives, we're going to be talking to Him. So we need to practice, and that's a strong thing that I've got. Is a lot of our hymns are singing praise to our Lord, and I think that's a big thing. If I get up in the morning and I say, Jesus, I want you to guide me today. That's a really good reset. And when you are confronted with a good thing or a bad thing, whatever that might be in your life, and you've asked Jesus 10 minutes ago or half an hour ago, I need some guidance here, which path do you think you're going to take?
Yeah.
Right, so sort of bring him to the forefront of your mind before you get to those decisions. Yeah.
If you don't have an option for decision making that is going to come up guaranteed either today or tomorrow, then you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have, if you can't think through your day and think I'm going to come up against these things that I'm going to be tempted by or swayed by, and you haven't actually predetermined which way you're going to go, then it might be 50-50. You might actually fortunately go the right way, but maybe you won't.
Yeah, and I know that when you think of the example of Daniel, even it says that Daniel purpose in his heart that this is the thing that I'm going to do.
Yeah. So he knew at the start. The answer's this. It doesn't matter what the question is.
So do you do that for little things?
Everything.
Okay. So not just big, bigger decisions.
No. I mean, you wax and wane. Of course, I'm only human, and I'm working on lots of different things and learning every day, and I've got challenges like everyone else. So it's not like I've got it all the game scum for sure.
Yeah.
But if you start off the day like that, and each day you've got aims that you're trying to work through, then you're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to, when you've got sort of Christ in your mind, to like it. In a way, it kind of makes decisions kind of easy.
Don't. You can't turn to the left or the right if you know that straight ahead is the path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it probably definitely impacts the way that you make your decisions when you've got Christ in your mind. It's sort of like, would you do something or would you say something? Because I know personally I've maybe said or done things, and if I knew, if I just had, even the presence of, the angels or Christ in my mind, would I have done the same thing? I don't know. Probably not. No. But I think
I'd change it.
Yeah,
definitely not. And that's, and I hear every now and again, chairman on a Sunday morning will say, our absent Lord. I think, what the heck? Mm-hmm. He's not absent. I'm with you all the way to the end. Mm-hmm. That changes everything.
It would say, even when you read through like Revelation, he talks about I'm walking into the middle of the ecclesias.
Where two or three are gathered.
Right
there am I,
with you.
In the midst of you. Yeah, just change your perspective.
And even I guess being in a relationship, you sort of pick that up, or how important it is, talking to them, or actually even just physically being with them and spending time. And that's one thing I sort of thought about is, when you're developing a relationship with Jesus, your mind automatically goes to relationships that you have with other people, and even, what are the best relationships that you have with other people? Usually it's those people that you hang out with a lot and you spend time with and sort of invest that.
You communicate with, and it is different because we haven't got the sort of face-to-face relationship with Jesus, but we know what he thinks like, we know what he does, we know where he's been, we know what he's been up to, and we know what the plan is. So it's getting to know Jesus better every single day, and it's pretty. I don't know. It just makes it alive. Really, it's not a textbook. It's not a theory. It's it.
So I guess for young people listening, I suppose Jesus isn't someone that we can physically see at the moment, even though we read so much about him. What's the best way of developing that relationship with someone that we can't see, because we're so used to, developing relationships with someone we can.
Talking as we are now, but it's a bit different in a way. I mean, Christ isn't absent, as you said, but Christ isn't necessarily physically present with us.
Yep.
How do you build that relationship, or how do you get to know Jesus without actually physically?
Well, I guess probably the main thing for us is we've got 4 Gospels there with different perspectives of who he was when he was living on the earth, and it's understanding in circumstances that he came into with other humans, leaders, other common folk. It's how did he interact? What was he like? And we know then, following that from Acts through, here's people that were so dedicated to follow Jesus, they died for him. That's extreme following of Jesus. So if you can't quite get it out of the first 4 books of the New Testament, you've got another, whatever it is, 23 or something, which reference Jesus and how everyone's following him and what the way of life is. So that's probably the best way. But then it's just practically, even young people growing up, everyone knows the facts. Everyone knows, what characteristics Jesus had and the fruit of the Spirit and whatever. But tomorrow, when you go to school or work or uni or whatever, what do you do? If you're catching the bus at the moment, the bus is full, an old person gets on, do you look up and then look down and keep reading, or do you get up and actually say, here you go, this is what Jesus would do, I'd love you to sit here? That's sort of a mindset flip where you just go, this is actually how Jesus would live his life if he was dressed in my clothes and my shoes. This is what he'd do. And it's practically living these theoretical ideas that we hear constantly, podcasts and exhorts and Bible classes.
Yeah, and I suppose those little moments, I suppose times where you can then be Jesus to someone else as well.
Absolutely. And
you've mentioned you've got a rule that helps you with that. Can you tell us a bit about that?
I stumbled across this book, and every time I read it now, I just think this is an amazing working out that God's done in my life to firstly have me come across this book. Long story, we can chat about that if anyone is interested in the backstory.
Give us a quick story.
I was, if anyone knows Tea Tree Plaza, I put the car in for a service, and I thought I was recovering from my foot injury, so I thought I'll just walk home. Never done that before. There's someone had put out, I don't know, 10 or 20 books out on the side of the road just saying help yourself, and one of the books was this book that I've got. It's called The 10-Second Rule, Following Jesus Made Simple, and probably a paragraph on the back page which summarises the whole book says, within 10 seconds do the next thing you're reasonably sure Jesus wants you to do, and you could change a life forever. And so it takes probably 20-25 minutes to walk from the plaza to my house, and skims through the whole book. It's got quite large writing, but I'm not the fastest of reading, but I skipped through, and that's just been the biggest change for me. Now everything is, what would Jesus do right now? And I've had plenty of examples, and it's amazing how once you get this rule in your head, how many opportunities pop up which I just would have walked blindly past before. One example, and again, this is just to make it real, I guess, from I'm living this, is we're driving to Sunday school the other day with Wilby and Osty in the car, Belle, shout out guys, and there's this guy walking the other way with a petrol can, and I said to the boys, I said, I'm sorry, we're going to be late to Sunday school today, but there's some guy walking back the other way, so we did a U-turn on Grand Junction Road, and yelled out to the guy, and he sprinted across the road, and I said, look, obviously that's not what you plan to do. You don't want to go walk along Grand Junction Road with a petrol can. And I said, we're off to church and Sunday school and church now, and I just feel so guilty if I got up, if the sermon this morning was someone, about, being like Jesus, and we just driven.
Good Samaritan.
Well, no, I just said being like Jesus and driving past, and he goes, oh, that's sort of like the Good Samaritan story. I went, oh, really? So anyway, we had a good chat, and he obviously wasn't prepared for all of this, so he didn't have a mask, and of course you can't go into a petrol station without a mask and whatever. So at the end of it, I just went in and paid for the petrol, and he was over the moon, and and then I've reached out a couple of times to get him to seminars a couple of times just to see if he's interested, but he's not. And like we were chatting beforehand, God's working in his life as he is in mine, and it'll be a month or it'll be a year, but then something will happen, and he'll remember, hopefully, that Jesus was working with him on that day. It just was through me that time. But so many situations like that pop up now.
It's like little opportunities that God's probably put there to sort of plant a seed. Or
absolutely, yeah. There's going to be people go, these guys are different, in this crazy world where stuff's upside down. Here's some people that are quite sensible, and they've got a purpose for living. So
does that book, I suppose, change your perspective a bit? What are some situations in which we can be like Jesus to other people? So you could be, randomly driving past and seeing someone that, might need some help. But what are some other ones that sort of jumped out at you, or are there sort of ways of, keying into different situations that you may not have otherwise noticed?
Yeah, it's pretty much just keeping an eye out for things. It's probably old age chivalry, but holding the door open for people, or asking for people if they need anything, or just reaching out beyond yourself. And it doesn't seem like much, but the amount of people that have commented of stuff like, I work in an accounting firm, I have clients come in, coffees at the end of the meeting, everyone gets up, walks out, and like, what happens to all the coffee cups and, bottles of water and whatever else that's on the desk? Someone else will deal with it. But, show the clients the lift, out you go, and then head back to the rooms, grab the cups, move them into the kitchen, and reception ladies are just like, wow, that's fantastic, that's awesome. I'm like, that's just what you do.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what Jesus would do, and that's, for me, in my mind, that's what he'd do. He tries, it says it. the end of one of the chapters of Matthew says, take my yoke upon you and I'll make it easy for you. Well, that's what he's saying. He's going to make things easy for you. So that's what I'm trying to do, is make life easier for other people, and then hopefully they'll go, okay, that's something. There's something different about this guy, and ask about it. So, and then probably building on that a little bit more proactively is try and build in a conversation, in any conversation I have, a reference to my Lord or to Jesus or God somehow.
Yeah.
So,
is there a particular way that you try and keep Christ in your mind all the time like that? Because it's quite easy for me to say, and talking about it now, I'm like, I really want to do that more in my life. And we have so many, talks and camps where you sort of have that mindset, I'm going to try and do that. But how do you actually, or just, I don't know, you can only speak on behalf of yourself, but how do you actually keep Christ conscious in your life? Like, it's quite a hard thing to do.
It's a personal thing, and as you say, but I remember I did Exhort at Enfield one day, and I actually brought my shoes.
Just do it?
Yeah. So there you go. You got the exhortation in one phrase. So, and I think I might have done it at Burnside as well, a similar theme. But it's that sort of thing where whatever you're doing, and I guess you do you, whatever you're doing in your life. You've got to work, study, do whatever you're doing. And for all the listeners, they've got their normal day. But if you can build something into that day that is a trigger for you, so I put my shoes on in the morning. That's it. That's a start. I'm running with endurance now. So that's a the race that sets before me. That's it. That's a reset for me. But it'll be different for someone else who's not into running. There will be every time you have a coffee or something. It's just that trigger of a practical or physical thing that could be, or assuming everyone has a shower every morning, that might be something that it's a waterfall of forgiveness that you're standing under. Whatever, however you change it. And I'm doing a bit of Wim Hof at the moment, so cold showers in the morning, and it's just a full reset. It's just bang, cold shower straight in, and it's awesome.
Wow,
it's
sounds
just
like those swims have got to you.
Yeah, they have. But it's just a full reset, and there's no there's no one else around, thankfully, and it's just a cold shower. You're not proving anything to anyone else. It's just that's it. And I've been doing it for I think 100 days now, so it'll just keep going. And every day I just go 1, 2, 3, bang, straight in, and it takes your breath away, and it reminds you. There's a spiritual song that says every breath I breathe and every heartbeat that's beating. I can't remember, it's on one of the CDs, the old CDs, but that just reminds me and your heart races and you have a double take of your breath, but that's it. It's God given, and away you go.
So does that song go through your mind each time when you do it?
Yeah. And so and the funny thing is, you've got all of this stuff all the time happening. No, it's not just unique to me. I'm not the only one breathing and having a heartbeat, but you've got to bring a consciousness to it of God involved. And if God wasn't involved, if he withdraws his spirit, well, that's it. You're gone.
And I like how that's like you are, bringing God and Christ into even every small thing, like just your shower in the morning or the run you have that morning. No, I think that's quite important and quite powerful.
Yeah. I suppose as soon as you attach that to something in your routine that you do all the time, you end up...
It's the trigger.
And you don't normally forget to have a shower or put your shoes on or have breakfast or have a coffee, whatever, and everyone can sort of sit down and work through what's a standard routine for them. But I've worked through my schedule, and I'm now getting up a bit earlier, and I'm now getting to work, and I'm doing a workout and then going for a run, and it just seems to happen, and you build it in. And it's not like, it's impossible. If you've got a goal in mind, everything's possible.
When you were talking about something being a trigger, it even reminded me of when we'd go for surfs in the morning in Newcastle. and sometimes we go, just before work. And one of the guys suggested, how about we say a prayer before the surf?
Fantastic.
And that ended up becoming a bit more of a habit, funnily enough, that I feel like almost every time we go for a surf now, it's like just before you're about to go in the water, we say a prayer, thank God for the day that he's given us, and that he keep us safe, and it's especially when you do that with like friends as well,
a group of guys.
It's actually
fantastic.
So good.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And if you're asking God's blessing on something, you're not going to go off and do something stupid. You've reset the day, and you've sort of set off on a course, and you're not about to go and do burnouts in the car park or whatever else, because how do you think God's going to bless that? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But if you reset and you say, no, we're on this straight narrow path over here, it doesn't mean it's boring. I mean, surf's in the morning, going for a run, jumping in the quarry, whatever, it's fun, like it's exhilarating, and it doesn't have to be boring, but it's God centered. There's God in the center. It's a sensible sort of pastime. So
when that becomes so much of a part of your life, then people start sort of noticing that, and like you said, you have a few people sort of comment things like that. And I know that I sort of got to a point during uni where I was thinking that, is this real in my life, or isn't it? And why is there sort of a part of my life that I sort of don't really talk to other people that much about? Like everyone at the meeting, sure, you'll talk about study week, or that Bible class that we had, or the youth group thing coming up, but everyone else at uni, they don't really know about that, and I think, they just won't care or anything. I just thought, well, forget it. Should tell them about this is all the things that we do, and we went to study week, and it was great, and we had all these discussion groups and team activities, and
100% agree on that. And if you Monday morning, if you're at work or uni, someone says, how was your weekend? That's going to come up. So what's your answer? What's your 10-second, 15-second elevator pitch, which we've always sort of been taught? If you rehearse that, comes off pretty smooth. And youth conference, just got back from youth conference, 300 young people. It was fantastic. Some of the people you talk to would be thinking, I was so bored over the holidays, I had no one, I was just gaming, I was down the pub, whatever. Here's someone who's just had a week or two away with 300 other young people. What on earth is that all about? Put that out there, and had an absolute ball.
Yeah.
A circumstance is going to come up. You've got to be prepared. There might be 2 or 3 examples of situations that's going to come up as a young guy at work or a young lady at uni, that's going to come up. So practice it. There's nothing wrong with just having a think, I went to church, and, this week I went to church. There was a baptism. It was really exciting for the, teenagers, because one of the young people has decided actually they're going to dedicate themselves to Jesus. Like, there's a sentence.
That would knock some people's socks off.
But that's just what happened. Like, it's not like I'm trying to Bible bash anyone. It's just what happened. And, that happened Sunday, and then Tuesday night, same thing. So guess what I said on Wednesday morning? Same thing. They're like, what? Another baptism? Like, yeah, it's infectious. It's contagious. When people say, actually, the world's got no hope, and the Bible offers this amazing hope, other young people go, actually, I've been thinking that. I need to get on board. And so, people at work going, what? What's all that about?
Yeah, have you had some experience, like, what are some people's reactions to when...
Just exactly that. Yeah, what's that about, And it was just only this week, because we had Josh Evans on Sunday and Josiah Luke on Tuesday night. So this week's been, discussion about what's actually happening. So, it's just... And I don't know what happens on, most TV programs or Foxtel or whatever. I guess there's no programs now, but it's just, Tuesday nights, everyone's doing whatever they want. They're binge watching something. You get in Wednesday morning, they're like, I need my first coffee, and you've already gone for a workout and a run, and you had a baptism last night, so you're completely different to anyone who's dragging themselves into work at 8:30, 9 o'clock.
I think what I'm finding out of this is that I need to readjust my morning routine more than anything else.
We'll start the podcast a bit earlier. That's my fault. I'm late. And then go to bed earlier. You can get up earlier.
Yeah. Well, one thing, as you know, but like what I've begun to appreciate a lot more lately is that quote where it says, by this shall all men know me, if
Yes.
you have love for one another.
Yeah.
And I think, with everything that's going on around the world, and it's a bit cliche, but like showing love to someone else is actually quite rare.
Yeah.
And it's what people are actually looking for in this life, is just
Yep.
a sense of community and, involvement. And yeah, like I said, it's not something I've been able to appreciate until recently, that Christ actually says, you actually stick out and you'll be obvious to people that you're my disciples if you actually just love one another, which, is one little favourite, point that I've been able to appreciate recently.
Yep. And even looking at this idea, I was looking up a few quotes beforehand just about knowing Jesus. And it's amazing, actually, I found how much come up in John and 1 John about getting to know him. And 1 John talks about, this is how we know him if we keep his commandments. And it goes on to say that, whoever says that I know him but doesn't keep his commandments is a liar, and the truth isn't in him. And so I guess it translates, if you know Jesus, if you've got a relationship with him, that ends up then going to everyone else around as well, and they sort of see that, like, by this shall all men know that you're my disciples.
And that ties in. I mean, Jesus calling all of his disciples, he says, follow me, walk in my footsteps. And that's classic, if you love Jesus, you'll do what he says. Like, it's just, and then the crown of righteousness is laid up, but not just for me, but anyone that loves his appearing. So anyone that's looking forward to Jesus coming back is not going and doing things that Jesus doesn't want. You're not anticipating a really good friend coming back if you're not, like-minded and doing stuff that they would be pleased with. And that's just in a natural sense, if someone, is a certain way, a caring and concerned sort of person, loving, their fellow brother. Well, if you're not like that, why would you be looking forward to that person coming back? Because they're so different to you.
Yeah, you don't have a common interest or anything.
If you're on the same wavelength, of course you're going to look forward to them coming back. It just makes sense.
And that's what you were saying to us just before we started the recording, is just about how, serving Jesus in that sense is easy because it's something you want to do. It's sort of this perspective shift of serving Jesus as being a hard thing to being something that's easier. Yeah, and I always grew up thinking, you've got to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. It's really hard and not really sure. But actually, of late, looking at that working out your salvation, it's actually outworking your salvation. So you've already got that, deposit or guarantee that you're saved, and now you've just got to outwork it. You're just showing people that you're saved. It's a completely different mindset now to say, actually, obviously there's no guarantees. You can't rest on it and go, oh, phew, I'm saved. That's okay, I'll go and do what I want. Obviously, if you're, saved in the sense of Jesus, being saving his disciples, well, then you're gonna be in that boat. You're gonna be doing what they do, But that just takes the pressure off, and you go out, and that's just who I am. I talk to anyone about this. I've changed my mindset around. Now I do a lot of running. I am a runner. And what do runners do? Well, they run. There's no question about it. There's no, what's Craig up to? He's a runner, so he's probably running. Well, it's the same as a follower of Jesus. What do? Well, they follow Jesus. If you flip your mindset and that's your name tag, I'm Craig, the follower of Jesus, or a follower of Jesus, then it's pretty obvious what Craig's going to be doing. He's going to be doing what Jesus wants. It's pretty easy. He's not going to be deceitful. He's not going to be cutting corners. He's not going to be getting in late and leaving early and taking long lunch breaks. Like, it's actually, he's going to be doing what Jesus would do. Yeah, and that's a practical thing. It's just you flip it around, and there's no, in a sense, there's no conscience thing. It's like, this is the right thing or the wrong thing. It's actually, what does Jesus do? I'll do that. It's pretty easy. Yeah. That's a great takeaway as well, to sort of think about that's who we are, and sort of labelling yourself as that and making that your identity. I think you were saying. Yeah. I mean, the same as being a member of the Christadelphian faith. You're a Christadelphian. You're a brother of Christ. That's who you are. That's what you do.
Is there trying to bring up or tie in all these thoughts we've discussed, is there something that, for people who are listening or whatever they might be doing now to really, like a take-home message for them for the rest of their day, or a good take-home point that you really want to surmise what we've said?
Yeah, well, I think this whole 10-second rule's really hit me, and I don't think there's a downside. Like, if you do what you think Jesus will do in the next 10 seconds, you're reasonably sure that's what he'd do, what's the downside? Like, you're going to be kind to someone. Mm-hmm. You're going to help them out. Like, I can't see a downside. It's like a guaranteed investment return sort of thing, where you put your money in and you guarantee to get something good out of it. Now, I don't know. Jesus doesn't wake me up in the morning and say, you're going to speak to 3 people and this is how it's all going to work out. But if I go in with my Jesus glasses on, that's it. Yeah. Like, I'm going to look out for stuff, and if that's not the moment that Jesus was working, okay, I've been kind. I've helped out someone, but it's still something that I'd be very confident that I'm not going to get told off about in the end. It's something quite positive. So, but no, I think if everyone is able to, in that sense, be Jesus to whoever you come in contact with, you can't go wrong. And then it's just when Jesus comes back, it's like, fantastic. I've done my best. That's all God can ask you to do, and we will fail, guaranteed. And as a young person, I grew up thinking, wow, all these brethren and sisters, they're all perfect, but now I'm sort of getting closer to that sort of age. I know jolly well it's not the case. Everyone's still trying and doing their best, and for me, probably take home message is just get up and give it your best. Start small, little habits. Maybe even try it out with some good friends that not going to laugh at you too much. They might laugh at you a little bit, but but at least with friendly faces to be able to say and get a little group together and bounce ideas off. This is what happened to me today. Mm-hmm. God's working in my life today. I'm not looking back 5 years ago and say that's how God's worked. Actually, this morning this is what happened, and you see God working today, because then you're building off today tomorrow. And tomorrow, the next day, it's sort of a snowballing effect on that side of it.
That's really good. That's a good perspective shift, I think, for a lot of, especially our listeners as well, to sort of think about those things just in the everyday. I mean, you've pretty much taken us through some of the bigger decisions to do all the little things, even to a shower.
Cold shower in the morning. Yeah.
It's good.
I think I might try that one now.
Let me know how you go.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit tempted.
All right.
Maybe not so sure about the runs in the morning.
No, that's all right. Just start small.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Uncle Craig.
Very good.
Thanks for joining us.
No worries. Good guys.
Well, how was that, Josh?
It was good. It was very insightful. Plenty of practical things I found.
Yeah, I loved what I got out of that was so many of the practical examples that we can implement. Even to the smallest things in the shower. Or, going for a run for Craig. That was something, relevant for him. Did you have a favourite point from that?
I really like just the thought of trying to include God in your everyday conversations with other people, whether they be, Christophans that or whether they be people at work, and just including God in those conversations, even if it's just like a God willing or just what you did on the weekend.
That was good. I particularly liked his little 10-second rule in that little book he talked about. I think, if you can make a decision within 10 seconds to, as the book says, following Jesus made simple, try and make a decision within 10 seconds to try and do what Jesus did. I think that's a small but powerful lesson that I'll certainly take out of it.
Yeah, and hopefully it's something that you guys find helpful as well. You'll put into practice.
Now with that, we've got a bit of a street talk. So
yes, so we've chatted to a few of you guys on the street, as they say, at one of the double study days over here in Adelaide. We've just got a few random questions that we've sort of asked.
So let's hear what some of you guys think to some of our questions we asked.
Enjoy.
You walk the walk
and talk the talk,
but we
street talk. Street talk.
Would you rather sit at the front or back of the hall?
I don't really have a preference.
Front. Definitely the front.
Back.
I'm a back of the hall kind of person.
In the middle.
Back.
Front.
Middle. The very front.
The back.
The back left. Front. You always got your concentrations a lot more. It's always you focus a lot more. And usually when you're back, there's always little kids like screaming and stuff.
Oh, the front for absolutely sure. Front.
Definitely front.
Back. Front.
What is your favorite activity to do in Adelaide?
Lawn bowls. Why did I say that? It's not lawn bowls. I'm actually not sure. You put me on the spot.
Hikes. There's some good hiking places.
Work on my ute.
Go to the beach.
Interact with other people.
Meet my friends for coffee.
Mount Osmond. Go to the airport.
Go to the beach. Hiking.
I don't really know. I'd say just be around friends, hanging around them. Well, nothing really specific. I got nothing else.
Surf.
Is it okay to say, going to Victor Harbour and having a coffee down by the beach? Is that all right, or is that... ride my bike.
Hang out with my family. It's so good.
Hang out with friends. Dolphin cruises.
Where do you listen to podcasts?
On the floor while painting. Driving to work in the car.
In the car.
Oh, stretching after a run.
On the way to work. In the car.
Whilst I walk. I don't. I listen to audiobooks. While driving, yeah. On the way to Roseworthy. At my study desk. Being at Heritage, I've got a 9-minute drive to school, so I don't get time to listen to a podcast. But after hours, only Jen and I sit and listen to a podcast.
Just at home cooking.
On the way to school.
In my car on the way to work.
Don't listen to podcasts really, nah. Usually at night, in bed to go to sleep, or when I'm doing my homework or Sunday school work. No, actually, it keeps me focused for a long time. Especially the Stand Still podcast.
What is your favorite episode of the Stand Still podcast so far?
The one by James Diliberto. It's very engaging. No, he's really good. I don't remember the numbers, sorry.
The one with Andy Arnold.
The first one. Just all of them. I've definitely watched them. No, Elliot's voice is too annoying, so sorry, Cora.
I'd have to say maybe Steve, because I probably know him the best out of everyone. And it was pretty interesting just to hear his takes and on Standstill, so it's pretty good.
The conference one, because I was very excited to find out more about conference. I think mine was James Diliberto's. It was just like really relaxed, engaging, and the conversation was great.
Of this podcast? Yeah. I haven't listened to any.
The one with James Dill, because his kid's called Raphael, and that's such a cool name.
So not about the content?
Well, that was part of the content.
Okay.
Probably Dez's meditation.
If you had to choose any podcast merch, what would it be?
Okay, probably a hair dye.
Hair dye?
Yeah. Can you organise that?
With the logo colours.
What other logo colours?
Socks are pretty good, but I do rate a good crew neck as well.
Some socks. Oh, t-shirt. I'd do caps.
I think a good t-shirt never goes wrong, you know? You can never go wrong with a t-shirt.
Oh, probably a shirt or something.
Oh, socks.
Oh, yes.
I think it would be depending on the podcast, but maybe a beanie or a shirt.
Drink bottle.
Probably a t-shirt.
A drink bottle.
A hoodie. I reckon tote bag.
Probably a drink bottle.
I'll get a tracksuit with piping.
Well, thanks for all those who got involved in the street talk.
And if you want to hear yourself on the podcast, keep your eyes out at any future Adelaide suburban events, and we might be chatting to you soon.
Or maybe even at the conference fundraiser, you might.
Yes, we've got the Conference Classic coming up.
That's it. But no, thanks for everyone who got involved in that. Thanks for another good episode, Josh.
Thanks for tuning in with us. We look forward to seeing you in the next one.
Certainly will. Cheers, guys.
Thanks for listening to another Standstill episode, the official podcast of Adelaide Youth Conference 2023. To listen to past episodes, see highlight videos, and get all your podcast merch, visit our website. If this is your first time, welcome! You can find us everywhere you get your podcasts. The Standstill podcast is released once every month, so we can't wait to see you next time.